Party's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the podcast where we crack open the egg of each minute of Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever and fry it up for a nice hearty breakfast for all of us.
Yum.
Although I hate eggs, and I would never have them for breakfast, so...
Because you're an idiot.
Oh, let's not get into egg gate again already. But, did I say who I am? I'm Niall McGowan, so... Yeah, you can go now, John.
And I am the other host, John Parker, the host that is just so you.
And yet so are you. And we have someone who can pull off both a summer and a winter. It is our guest all the way from D5, the Mighty Ducks Minute, and the Blake and Sal Show, Blake Reilly.
Hey guys, I feel like when I'm in Wisconsin, there are weeks where I do summer and winter in the same week. So that's not far-fetched.
Oh. Your man known for wearing a Hawaiian shirt and like a Ushanka. Just
I'll tell
furry hat
I'll tell you a
on.
funny, very Wisconsin moment. We had a day about a week or so ago here. I'm dating where we are, but I really don't care for the story. I was driving home. It was like 56 degrees outside. We had just gone up from like 20s. It's like 56 outside. I drive past our gas station and someone's walking in wearing a Packers jersey, shorts, and flip-flops. Keep in mind, it's February. That's Wisconsin in a nutshell.
Hey, don't worry. That's perfect. That's perfectly normal here in Liverpool as well.
There you go.
It can be snowing and you'll see weirdos out walking wearing shorts and like sandals.
Oh wait, no wait.
And it's a very typical thing in Liverpool to have people, usually women, out in like the freezing cold in their pajamas to go shopping.
Yeah.
Because they like can't be bothered getting dressed because they're just like, who am I getting dressed up for? Which is like, I mean, you're free to do whatever you want, but it's like, aren't you like dying of the cold though? Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and people in the north of England will just point blank refuse to wear a coat.
Sounds like my son
They will, if they can get away with no coat.
Yeah. I'm actually really terrible at dressing for the summer, so I always look forward to the autumn and the winter months because, like, you get to put on jackets, you get to accessorize all your different cardigans and whatnot. It's like I can do that. I'm like I never wear a t-shirt solo. Like that's the thing. Is like nah, I can't do that. So it's it doesn't look good to me. But anyway, that's for our other podcast, Fashion Moments.
Bat Eye, our new fashion show where we come and we make you over.
Yeah, so we have minute 56, of course, begins with the Riddler, still prattling and prancing around the Two-Face's lair.
That could be any minute with him in.
Yeah.
Very valid point.
And it ends 1 minute later with Two-Face getting a hit of the box. Reaching for another hit of the box where he's actually he's hooked already. That's where they get you. It's just they lure you in with that free sample that they jack up the price. But yeah, so again, that line you alluded to there, John, like, it's just so you, and yet so you, and that's one that's like,
That's so
again,
Jim
that's in the
Carrey.
script, but that's like Jim Carrey he's selling that line of the.
Yeah, the way it's written in the script, it doesn't come across the way he delivers it. But
No.
I think he delivers it better than most people.
Yeah, Jim Carrey has his way of pulling off lines like that. Like no one else could pull that off the way he says it, and it not be on an episode of Queer Eye. So it's like,
Yes. Yeah.
I also have to say, I really appreciate Two-Face's stance because he's holding that gun like he's like one of those like gangsters from a movie from like the 1940s where it's like down by his waist.
Yeah, you're not going to hit anything.
Yeah, it just has that kind of like, this is the Cagney pose of just like, yeah, see? And it just looks like he's got the gun trained on him the entire time because he's still Two-Face. He's not going to be. He's not going to risk taking the gun off this guy. He's probably just dying to kill him, basically. But it's it kind of harkens back to like Tim Burton's vision of like that kind of noirish 1940s kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't they do it in '89? Doesn't Jack do it when he goes to see Thingy Grissom?
The thing he has to D is the. Oh, no, he does. No, you're right. Yeah, when he first comes in, that's right. It's down by his side. Yeah, so. But yeah, I think it's maybe because he's standing quite squat as well. It just looks a little silly. But then again, look at the minute we're talking about. So everything looks a bit silly.
We haven't even gotten to the crazy weird stuff yet.
No, this is all tame.
Yeah, I do love though when so he goes up and we get a little bit more of a view of Two-Face's new jacket. He's kind of iconic throughout the film for wearing that, the pink zebra stripe thing, but he does have quite a range of a wardrobe.
This is casual at-home jacket.
Well, the thing I took away from this is that it has almost that kind of cowboy shirt feel on one side. He's got the kind of a black bit that kind of curves in. It looks like an expanded lapel of some sort. It reminded me of a cowboy shirt, basically, which I kind of felt.
Okay, yeah.
I thought maybe I was supposed to tie in with him shooting the roof. That's a kind of cowboyish thing to do, but
no, with little like tassels.
Yeah. I guess you don't really get enough appreciation for, because that's the thing too. You look into these suits again because this film's not as appreciated as the other ones. Well, at least the other two. And the thing is, like, I remember Googling Jack Nicholson's Joker suit, and within seconds was getting the exact make, the measurements, everything. There's everything, that close-up photographs down to every single detail. And you try to look into this version of Two-Face's suit, you're not going to get anything. Like, it's just, like, no one's made the notes. Nobody's cared to archive them somewhere. Like, you might maybe...
It's
like,
so
there is
weird. It's weird to me.
Mm.
I go to cons all the time, and I've seen more obscure outfits than this at Comic-Cons. Yeah, This is one of the ones that's ignored. It's weird to me.
Very odd, yeah. At least, like, I'd go for this in a heartbeat.
I think that's just people just have the kind of mentality. It's like, if you're going to do Two-Face, either do comic book accurate Two-Face, or if you're doing this version, you're going to go for the zebra stripe. So no one's going to remember specifically this is the scene where the Riddler, he first meets the Riddler. It's like, wasn't he wearing the zebra stripe in that? No, he had a different outfit on. Presumably...
That's what Comic-Cons are for, though, to explain the detail of your outfit. Like,
yeah, surely.
He's got a slight little indentation on the shoulder from where the Riddler gives him a little playful punch. But I do love his little, like, but you pulled it off nicely. just like giving him the little, like, hey, we're buddies, aren't we?
He's doing, like, so casual complimenting. It's so funny.
And then, of course, Two-Face shoots the roof with, has to be said, the softest sounding gun in the history of the world. Like, you think someone shooting off a gun right next to your head, that would deafen you. But this is just like, pew! Like, it's a real old school, like, don't make it too loud. We don't want to...
They do that in movies a lot. Like, obviously, being English, I haven't been around too many guns. But guns in real life, they're very loud.
Mm.
And something else, this is really off topic, but something they never get right in movies, I always think, is the volume of a helicopter. Because if you're standing next to one, you can't hear a damn thing, and people are having conversations just under the blades in movies.
Do you remember when they aired the trailer of I think it was Batman Dark Knight Rises, and they had the hard time hearing over Bane's mask over the helicopter sounds, and they had to go edit it? That's what it reminds me of.
I had a hard time understanding Bane throughout the whole damn movie.
Oh.
It's valid, but I remember that they had to re-edit the trailer because they couldn't hear him over the mask, over the helicopter sound.
That does not surprise me.
The Riddler comes out then with the, has anyone ever told you you have a serious impulse control problem? Which I don't think it is a reference. Jim Carrey, apparently, when he was doing stand-up in the 80s, used to have quite a famous bit where you talk about impulse control and talk about, like, just basically think of, like, you have to control your impulses at all times. Like, you could be standing talking to your best friend and you're like, what if I was just to, like, shove a pencil in his eye right now? Like,
I think that kind of thing all the time.
I think most people do, because I think it's an unspoken it's an unspoken thing in society. It's like, it's the kind of thing like, what if I was to do that? Because that would change the course of my life by just, like, stabbing someone in the eye for no reason.
See, it's thoughts like that you don't admit to your friends. It's not like that you don't admit to your friends at all.
No, that's how you know you're good friends, when you do. Admit.
Valid.
But yeah, Jim Carrey used to have that bit about this, like, impulse control. It's like, I wonder if that's a little nod to that, because again, that's a line that's not in the script. The whole like,
maybe that was one of those things. Like, I find this funny. I'm just gonna say it and see if it sticks, and it works.
And then, of course, that's when he hauls out the new addition to the box, this random lightsaber looking kind of thing. Which I did find out in a slight side note. Just last night, I didn't realize that people are looking at Rey's lightsaber from the end of Rise of Skywalker, and you're like, oh, it's yellow.
No way,
yeah.
I don't believe it.
But it's just like, oh yeah, apparently when it starts up, you can see green and blue melding together to make the yellow.
Oh.
So it's like,
nice.
she's taking the
like
two.
that.
She's taking the two crystals to make, and it's like, oh, so that's why it's yellow. It's the combination of the two. I was like, oh, because originally it was yellow. I was like, I guess that's a nod to the old toys. I guess
I like that it's a nod to the old toys, though.
Oh,
Maybe it's a combination
still
of
is,
both.
but then
Maybe it's a combination of both. You know?
Yeah, probably.
yeah. But the thing, the first time I saw it, I didn't get that it was her staff. And people were like, yeah, she made her staff into a lightsaber.
See,
Like, is that what that was?
I caught that immediately.
Yeah, I've been expecting her to do that since the first film.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought she would have had it long before the end. Like I thought, as soon as the lightsaber breaks, in fact, I thought, oh, the next time you see her, she's gonna have a staff.
See, that would be a logical way to go with it. But then JJ replaced that with, it's just fixed. It's just back together again. And you're like, didn't that lightsaber break? Like, nope. Never did.
You're misremembering.
So I'm actually I pressed play after he put the box on. I'm like, why are we jumping to cartoons? Like, I don't understand why the two girls are like visualized cartoons.
I mean, that could be like what a lot of the fans said when they saw the movie. Like, why are we jumping into cartoons? Like, what happened to the Batman from 1989? Why is there a random half-purple monkey guy and Annie Lennox is jumping around? What's happening?
I see what you mean there. I see what you mean.
Annie Lennox with a lightsaber.
I will say, though, John, just because...
There's your title. There's your title, by the way.
Yes.
But the Riddler does say, although this is how I found you. Again, how did this help them?
No explanation.
Is it just that it boosted your IQ points so you could figure out how to find him?
You know, I was thinking that when I'm watching the minutes. I'm like,
no.
How did this help you? Like, I don't understand. Like, I get it later with Bruce because he went into your machine and he read his mind. That made sense. Here makes zero sense, and there's no explanation. It's never brought up again. It's never brought up.
Absolutely nothing to explain it. Like, all I can think of is what Niall said there. That it somehow it's made him so smart he could just figure it out. Yeah. Because nothing this box does would give him any ability to find Two-Face.
But I think I mentioned last week, John, because I remember you didn't like it. But because there was a brief explanation as to how the Riddler actually found the Riddler. I think it was in the novelization or maybe the Goldsman draft. But in the original Bachelor draft, they have a slight variation on it. And I wonder if you'd like it better just because there's a bit of wordplay. Okay. He says, Two-Face says, how did you find us? And Riddler says, you're Two-Face. You would need to face north and south and east and west. Be on all points at the same time. Face both rivers, always evenly divided geographically. And there's only one spot in Gotham serving all of these bifacial, bicoastal, bilingual, biodegradable, and biological needs. And that I believe this is the spot I'm standing on right now. And am I clever or what? Be honest, be beautiful. And then the Riddler, or the Two-Face just kind of stands, stupefied, basically, or more annoyed than anything I'd imagine would be the way Tommy Lee Jones would play that.
Why did you cut that line? Because that makes the most sense of anything else in here.
Yeah. I prefer it to no explanation, and it would have taken seconds. So.
Exactly. Especially how fast he talks. He gets it out so fast. Yeah. And we move on. Like, it's so easy. Like, I don't understand. You had it written. Like, it's right there.
It just indicates my brain power, my own IQ, my intelligence levels have been boosted by this device. So I thought to do that because of it. But anywho, of course, then he turns on the box, which without much prompting, Sugar and Spice have sat down in front of their TVs.
Yeah, they didn't get asked or anything. It's just kind of like they knew almost.
I guess they have. Does he? Well, the thing is, it would have been something if he had planted the box in there already, and he's like, I've been manipulating them all day. Like, I can get them to do whatever I want
And
now.
that's how he found the base.
There you go. But or maybe I suppose he couldn't have been inside the base, but maybe he's been working like a kind of he's hooked the box into a TV signal somehow, and that's how he's getting the trace on it. But again, though, a lot of the stuff with Sugar and Spice doesn't make sense either, because I mean, we talk about them till the cows come home, but it's like Two-Face just broke out of Arkham, like presumably days ago. Were Sugar and Spice, are they new girlfriends? Are they old girlfriends? Were they just hanging around in his old hideout waiting for him to come back? Like, who are they? Where do they come from? Are they known to the public? Does everyone know? Like, oh yeah, Two-Face is in this like weird polyamorous kink relationship with Drew Barrymore and Paul Rubin's girlfriend. Like, it's...
Hey, you know, let people live their own lives, man.
Or maybe it's like, remember, I think it was in the second Austin Powers movie where they go back to the 60s and everyone's hanging out at Austin's pad, even though he's not there. Like, there's no reason for them to be there. But they're all hanging out at Austin's pad. So maybe it's a situation where this is...
He enters like it's just like a nightclub, but...
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, the world of TV and film and stuff just plays fast and loose with this. I mean, that 70s show, they kept hanging out at Foreman's place when he'd moved away.
Yes! Oh, no, that was explained. Because what's his name moved in.
Kind of explained.
Hyde moved in. So that's why.
But there's no reason Hyde would move
that's
in.
the main reason they loophole they used. I'm not saying it makes sense, but at least they had a loophole.
At least they... At least they tried.
Exactly,
Yeah.
they tried.
But of course, yeah, as you mentioned, Blake, some cartoons pop on the TV now.
I do appreciate a good Sylvester and Tweety cartoon, though. I do appreciate a good Sylvester and Tweety.
Yeah, that's how did you guys look into these cartoons by any chance, or? I think that was a no.
I was racking my brain like, I feel like I'm on the box.
No, it's so funny. It got so quiet.
I'm not a big fan of this era of cartoon. I know that might be blasphemy, but, you know, like, I was never really into Looney Tunes and things.
Oh, that's right. You told me this before.
I'm more of a Disney person. I'm more Disney. So it's like, I grew up a Disney Channel. So it's like, I didn't really grow up with Looney Tunes. I watched them when I was more like a teenager than when I was a kid. So
yeah, I think I'm probably the same. Like, when I was a kid, I didn't like stuff like Animaniacs. I think I've brought that up.
So that's why you had your level of snark when we were doing the Pinky and the Brain reference there.
The only one I didn't mind was Pinky and the Brain, actually. But I think now, if I watched those things, I would probably like them more. But I also feel like, oh, maybe the time's passed. I don't know.
No. Oh my God, I loved all these things back in the day anyway. So, but yeah, I looked into the two cartoons that they're watching. Sugar's cartoon is That Stupid Cupid, which is it's actually a Daffy Duck cartoon. Obviously co-stars.
Oh, okay.
Elmer Fudd there. You can see Elmer Fudd as the Stupid Cupid of the title. It was directed by Frank Tashlin and written by Warren Foster in 1944. Went and watched the cartoon because you can get all these things online now, just to see does it have any relevance to what's going on in the film or anything. The plot line is basically that Cupid, who's Elmer Fudd, is going around just flinging his arrows all over the place, and Daffy Duck is like, "Oh no, you're not getting me again. You struck me with an arrow last year, and look what I'm stuck with." And he pulls out his wallets. It's entire like 15 children he has now and stuff, and he's just really resentful over the fact that he had to get married and all this other stuff. And basically, yes, it's just Cupid pursuing. He keeps pricking him, and then Daffy Duck falls in love with the first person he sees and stuff. Looking in the notes on Wikipedia, it's quite interesting because it does have a very abrupt ending. In that Daffy starts kissing this chicken, the chicken who lives in the coop nearby, and the chicken has a boyfriend. And the boyfriend comes up to him and he's just like, who do you think you're doing and stuff. Daffy manages to get out of that situation, ends up getting struck again, goes back in, and stands in between the chicken and her boyfriend and starts kissing her again, and just kind of cuts there. And apparently in the original ending, it was that he'd turn around and start kissing the mate, like the boyfriend as well. and it would end with Daffy said, "Hey, if you haven't tried it, don't knock it," and kind of like winking at the camera and stuff. And it's like, oh, I guess for like 1944, that would have been way, way too scandalous back then.
Oh,
so like they
dirty.
They cut that. Seems to have no relevance to the rest of the movie. The only thing that struck me that was kind of like, oh, that reminds me of a Batman thing, is that there's a joke in which, because the running joke throughout the whole thing is that I guess men don't want to hook up in romantic relationships of their own accord. So I think a cat and a dog end up getting together, and the cat that gets out of it pulls a gun out and shoots itself 9 times. Because the end all its 9 lives. So it shoots itself, a ghost appears with like 8 written on it. The ghost shoots itself, another ghost appears with 7, and it just keeps going down to 1. And that kind of reminded me at the end of Batman Returns with Selena Kyle coming towards Max Schreck with, 4, 5, still alive, and all that sort of stuff. But it may tie in a weird way, to what Spice is watching. Because she's watching a cartoon called Satan's Waitin', which is directed by I. Freeling, also written by Warren Foster, from 1954, so 10 years later. And the thing is that, Sylvester dies trying to catch Tweety, gets sent to hell, as you can see in the...
Wait, what?
He gets sent to hell, you can see in the cartoon there, but as that...
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
That bulldog devil, you can see it, that she's watching, basically says like, oh, you're in for it, but you got 9 lives. So you kind of get away with it. And then it does this weird thing where like one of Sylvester waits in hell, but then he's also alive on Earth, and he keeps dying like an additional 8 times on top of that. And every time a different Sylvester is sitting, there's like a big bench full of them. So they're indicating cats have 9 souls? Is that what it seems they're all, I guess maybe that could be like a Two-Face, multiple personalities, maybe, or something.
I don't know.
So does Two-Face have 2 souls?
Yeah, that's the thing. It could be like the...
Well, he refers to himself as us all the time, so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he literally is 2 beings sort of trapped in the one physical form.
Yeah. And then, that's the only thing I'd be like, well, it kind of ties into the other cartoon because of the cat's 9 lives thing. And I guess, maybe it's some allusion to Two-Face having multiple people inside of him in his split personalities. But that was about it. I was really hoping it was going to be something about like sucking out people's brains or something to be more about what the film is.
But no.
It's not at all. It's just sort of...
No, it's about cats dying. That's what I got out of this.
So those are those 2 cartoons.
Oh, cool. I'm going to actually check them out. I didn't even think to look at them because I was like, I'm not going to like them. But, they sound interesting. They sound different.
I will say, as Spice is watching hers, I love the whole setup of what she's going on. Like these big bat wings behind her. And then just like a thing, it's like a lamp at the side. Looks like it's a friggin' like alien pod or something. It's like a really hideous looking, glowing, sort of lizardy looking, like eruption of skin or something. It's a bizarre looking thing. But I do wonder though, because Two-Face really hates Batman, but yet she's got a giant pair of bat wings. I wonder if that's part of their relationship, where like does she dress up as a bat when they're in bed and start beating him and stuff? Is that part of the kink? So I mean, that's the thing too. If when the Riddler puts the box on their heads, is he getting their memories and stuff? Because he could be like, oh Jesus Christ, like these 2 are probably kinky as all hell freaks. So he could be like, I really wish I hadn't looked into your heads because I've seen things what you did with this Two-Face guy that no one should ever know about.
Things I can never forget.
If this wasn't like more of a kiddie movie, we probably would have seen more of that.
Well, yeah, if Tim Burton had done this one, I mean, some of that last movie was pretty sexual.
Yeah, just the pussy I've been looking for.
Yeah, this would have been really a lot more racier. We would have seen more details.
Yeah.
I like to fill her void.
Would this movie work with that Tim Burton sort of racy edge going on?
I really wonder if Tim Burton...
I don't know.
It might do.
I wonder if he ever saw this, and would he have been like, oh, I would have done so much more with that.
I have a hard time believing, though, that Jim Carrey, being so over the top, could go into the Tim Burton Batman universe. I just can't picture that at all.
I can't picture it at the time this was made, but I think he could do it now. Because he's
Now,
done
yes, but
roles
then-
now that are dark.
I keep thinking, though, because even though he had nothing to do with it, I guess Bo Welch did a lot of the TV version, because he was obviously, production designer on Batman Returns. But Jim Carrey, he was Count Olaf, like originally. Like Neil Patrick Harris kind of owns that role now, but that was originally
Oh,
Jim
I love
Carrey.
Jim Carrey's performance as Count Olaf.
Yeah, but like Lemony Snicket is such a Tim Burton kind of property. Like, it's stunning that he didn't do it at this point. And the fact, like, yeah, I can imagine that version of Count Olaf being in a Tim Burton version of Lemony Snicket. So, yeah, I think those two guys could have reached a compromise. They could have done something interesting together. But, of course, yes. Then the Riddler does, this is your brain on the box. This is my brain on the box, and then yanks it off, puts it on his own head, and declares, "Does anybody else feel like a fried egg?" Which I don't know. Do you know what that reference is, John? Because
I get the reference.
You get it. Oh, thank God!
Immediately got the reference.
Oh.
It's the good old commercial PSAs that say, "This is your brain." They're holding an egg, and he puts on a frying pan, and this is your brain on drugs. Any questions? That's the joke.
See, I've never understood this. I knew it was clearly supposed to be
it was
funny.
a huge PSA in the 90s. Like a massive PSA. I guarantee you go up on YouTube right now, you'll find it. It was everywhere in the 90s, and that was a running joke for so long. Anytime you hold up an egg, nowadays, you could ask anybody my age or a little bit younger, and people hold up an egg, and that's exactly what comes to your mind. Like every single solitary time.
It's even there's a bit. It was in
That's the joke.
Nightmare on Elm Street 6. They have the Johnny Depp cameo where he's holding the egg, going, "This is your brain," and then Freddy Krueger comes in with a frying pan and bangs it over his head.
Exactly.
He's like,
Oh,
But it all started with
okay.
a PSA. It all started with a weird PSA that came out.
yeah. I looked into it. Apparently, the guy who directed that is a fellow called Joe Pytka, and he directed Space Jam. So there we go.
Oh.
King of the 90s, right there.
Yeah, and the weird Everything's Connected. The ad featured a guy called John Rosalis, I think his name is pronounced, and he was in the Truman Show. So there you go.
Hey.
I find his version of the ads very condescending because it seems like a guy who's just exasperated, going, "Okay, one last time. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any question?" It just seems like it would push people more into drugs just to spite the guy than anything.
Niall, and you just accidentally quoted something you hate. You just did David S. Pumpkins. You went, any question? But this being a PSA about drugs and things, that actually makes this whole sequence make more sense as well, because
Well, there you
like
go.
clearly this thing acts like a drug. Harvey, once it comes off his head, he wants it back. It's crack. It's heroin. Look at his face. It looks pleasurable when he's using it.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee is going wild with those faces. He's mugging it up for the camera.
I love too that you get the sound effect jiggle of his jacket because he's jittering so much from what's been zapped into his head. I love the shot of it, but it slightly annoys me that it's not in perfect symmetry because you think it should be. But it's like, I guess maybe to fit everyone in the room, they couldn't get it exact. It's a bit like Spice is a fair distance away from the TV, but Sugar's quite close to her, so her beam's shorter, and yet it's further away from the Riddler. And it's just like, you could, if you had a bigger stage, I guess maybe you could have done this perfectly. I mean, it's still a great shot, but it's just like,
Niall, life isn't perfect.
No, it is not.
But it's again though the shot of Spice sitting on the chair with the bat wings coming out the back. It's like, that is an awesome looking bit of kit she's got there. We'll also add though the success of that PSA. There was a retooling in 1997, starring a young Rachel Lee Cook, where she did the egg thing, and then she started like trashing the whole kitchen, going, "This is your family, this is your education, this is completely ruining her whole house." And then she turned around and did any questions, and it's like, all right, calm down, Josie, okay? Like let's not go crazy. But it was very it was very overly sincere and over dramatic, and I'm sure that was supposed to be. But Rachel Lee Cook, of course, would go on to star in Batman Beyond: The Return of the Joker. So there you go. Everything is
Everything
connected.
ties together, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it's
well done.
Everything's connected.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we got for this one.
Yeah, that's me. I'm tapped out for this minute. If you guys are.
I'm good.
Well, the only other thing I've got is that in the Goldsman draft, there is one little bit of dialogue, which I quite liked. Because Jim Carrey, the Riddler says, addictive, isn't it? Just say no until I say yes. A little fringe benefit of working with me. Yeah. Now, here's the concept, counselor. Crime. My IQ, your AK-47. You help me gather production capital, blah, like blah, 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 like you hear in the movie.
Blah, 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 yeah.
But I like that little addition. That's quite fun. Maybe it's unnecessary, but it's interesting.
But we get into the plan anyway in the next minute. So I'm ready to mosey on if you guys are.
Yes, we will depart once more. We won't do plugs. We'll do them on Friday. That's our new thing.
Sounds good.
Monday and Friday. But come and talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Buy a T-shirt, TeePublic. It's lovely. In fact, buy a mug. I want to sell a mug to someone because
I want to sell a mug to some mug out there.
To some mug. But because I don't think, can you buy them in the UK now? They come from America. I don't think you can ship a mug.
I think I was going to buy one for my dad. This is a Christmas present, but I think the shipping was so extortionate to the UK that it was like, it was more than the cup itself. So I was like, nah, I'll leave that.
We'll look into helping out our UK listeners and ourselves. We'll look into that. Remind me. But Americans, who make up 90% of our listenership, go and buy a mug. And we will see you again on Friday, you mugs. Next time, toss a coin for your Riddler. Oh, Valley o' Plenty. The newly minted monarch of mysteries ends his proposition to the doubly deadly dastard of division. But while a prospective partner may need to take a powder, will the flip of Lady Fortune allow the filibustering felon to fly or flounder? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.